Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Renee at Home and day 2 of Vlogmas. This is a homemaking channel and I will do all things homemaking, from budgeting to cooking and cleaning and organizing to teaching you how to stock your pantry. But this Vlogmas is 25 days of recipes, and I am trying to give you tips and easy recipes to make the holidays easier. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure and hit the subscribe button, click the bell, and also click all so you get all of the notifications for when I have a new video coming out. Today I am making chocolate chip cookies. And there's nothing special about this recipe other than it's chocolate chip cookies, and those are amazing. This is just the Toll House cookie recipe, and I do a couple of different things to it to, I think, make it taste better. I've been making these since I was in my 20s, so I don't even use a recipe anymore really. But it's not really about the recipe. It's about giving you some tips so when you have a few extra minutes you can throw this recipe together, and I'm going to show you some things that you can do with the cookie dough and then you can cook them later. So let's get into this recipe and keep this quick. First thing is 2 sticks of butter, and we're going to cream this together. And then we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of white sugar. And then we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. We're going to cream this together now. Okay, and then we are going to add 2 eggs. All right, and I did get a shell in there. It was big enough I could grab it with my finger. Did you know that if you get a piece of shell in your eggs when you're cooking, don't try to get it out with a spoon or your finger. You can use the shell itself to scoop up that little tidbit of shell, and it will go right in there. Just a little extra tip. Okay, and the vanilla. The recipe calls for a teaspoon of vanilla, but this is one thing I do differently. I put a little extra. The next thing you want to do, you are going to need 2, I can't remember if it's 2 1/4 or 2 1/2. I'll link the recipe below. This is 2 cups of flour, and I didn't quite fill up that last scoop. It's 2 1/4 or 2 1/2. I'll be sure and look for you. Link it below. We also need to add to the flour a teaspoon of baking soda, and this is something else I don't follow the rules on. There's a teaspoon. I put a little bit extra, maybe about 1.5 teaspoons or 1.75 teaspoons. I think it makes the cookies fluffier. Also need a teaspoon of salt. I don't measure, about 1 teaspoon. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just going to add this a little at a time. And you're just going to let this mix until your flour is incorporated, because it can make them tough. And of course you don't want to forget your chocolate chips. Pretty sure the recipe calls for 1.5 cups. This is how I measure. These are my cookies. I'll put however many chocolate chips in there I want. more or less. Probably more. So I have at least 1.5 cups in there. Maybe 2 cups. And then we like pecans in our cookies. So I have about 1.5 cups of pecans here. I'm just going to add in there. You should probably do this with a spoon, but I'm going to lock my mixer down. And that's it. That's all I'm going to worry about doing. Let me get a spatula. All right. That is it for chocolate chip cookies. They are so easy to make. I'm going to unplug my mixer and set it to the side. I have a big cookie sheet with parchment paper on it. I always bake my cookies on parchment paper because I don't want that sticking to my pan and having to clean up that mess. Using a cookie scoop. If you don't have a cookie scoop, use spoons. Just gonna put my cookies on the cookie sheet about 2 inches apart. That's so they don't all run together, but truly it's a chocolate chip cookie, so even if they do run together, is that a bad thing? Is there a bad thing when it comes to a good cookie? As long as they're not burned? I don't care how big around they are. I don't care if they're all touching. Just give me the cookie. All right, I am going to finish filling up this cookie sheet and then I'll come back with my cookie tip. Okay, my cookie sheet is filled with cookies. Well, with cookie doughs. Cookie dough, I'm going to pop these in a 350-degree oven. For 10 to 12 minutes. I did 11. We like our cookies a little underdone. So I'm going to start with 11 and we'll check them. Sometimes it takes the first round of cookies a minute or so longer to cook. And I'll just keep an eye on them. I have a smaller pan here that has parchment paper in it. My tip is this. I am going to fill this cookie sheet. They're not touching, but I am putting them closer together because I'm not going to bake these now. I'm going to put this on this cookie sheet and then I'm going to put these in the oven. Nope. I'm going to put these in the freezer and I am going to let these set up for 30 minutes to an hour. And then I'm going to come back and put these in freezer bags. And then when I want cookies or need cookies for unexpected guests or to take somewhere or just because we want a cookie, I can pop these on a cookie sheet straight into the oven. Same 350 degrees. It might take a minute or two longer for them to bake because they are frozen. But this will make your holidays so much easier when you have cookie dough already made up and in your freezer ready to go in the oven. You can make 2, you can make a dozen. So I'm going to finish getting this filled up. And I'll be back. Okay, my cookie sheet is filled. You can see I have them fairly close together, and I'm just going to go pop these in the freezer. Let's check on these cookies. Look at those. Don't those look yummy? Now, the thing that I like about cooking on parchment paper, I just slide it right off the pan. One flipped. Let me bring the camera down and show you. I love cooking on parchment paper. I'll bring you back in a few minutes to show you the frozen cookies and how I put them up, and we'll go from there. I will see you back in a few minutes. Okay, it has been about an hour. I just took these cookies out of, well, the cookie dough balls out of the freezer. They are completely frozen. Been about an hour. I'm just going to put them in this Ziploc freezer bag and put them back in the freezer. And then when we want cookies, just take some out, however many we want, pop them on a pan, toss them in the oven. If you have a toaster oven, you could even put them in there. And that's it. Makes holidays so much easier, so much faster when you don't have a lot of time anyway. And there you go. You might want to mark these and date these if you plan on having them in the freezer for a certain amount of time. I'm not going to have mine in there that long. So that's it for this video. I will see you on day 3 of Vlogmas for you. Still the same day for me, so the same clothes. Until the next time, God bless.